In this video, we would like to introduce our work, concept skill transferability-based data selection for large vision language models, which is accepted in EMNLP 2024 main conference. So here's our motivation of our work. As you well know, recent large vision language models integrate an increasing amount of vision language tasks into visual instruction tuning datasets. So this results in effective and enhanced performance of the large vision language models, but this makes the fine-tuning costs substantially high, hindering the development of much larger and advanced models. So one way to address this problem is to use the course selection techniques, but applying the conventional ones have in the visual instruction tuning have two issues. First, they usually use a single scoring metric, but it actually results in biased course selection due to the diversity of distribution in visual instruction tuning, as you can see on the right figure. Second, the conventional ones actually often require huge computation during the course selection, and they also often assume a larger, more advanced models. And these two requirements actually ruins the core purpose of the course selection. So we investigate the traits of the visual instruction tuning dataset, and we find that different vision language tasks contain overlap of concept skill compositions. The concept could be a dog playing in water or jumping with human jumping with snowboard, and skill is the ability of the large vision language model to solve tasks such as understanding a color attribute or reasoning. So we suggest sampling over these concept skill compositions rather than sampling over datasets or test names to preserve the diversity in the visual instruction tuning dataset. To discover the concept skill compositions, we find that distinct layers of large vision language models represent distinct concepts and skills as below. For example, the layers 12 have strong representation in the OCR ability, and the 16th and 20th layer of the large vision language model in this experiment showed strong common sense knowledge attributes in these layers. So based on our observations, we propose to use the inner activations from diverse layers of a small large vision language model to train the larger target large vision language model. So using these activations, we applied k-means clustering to cluster the data set into the concept skill compositions. So these are the results of our clustering. And so as you can see, each cluster represents the concept and skills combinations quite effectively. From these clusters, we select more samples from clusters that transfer well to other clusters, which is represented through transferability, which we will explain in the later slides. And we also select more samples from clusters that come from sparse clusters, since dense clusters may contain many repetitive data points. So in case of the transferability indicates the ability of the large vision language models to transfer its ability to other concept skill compositions. In other words, what it means is that when there are cluster I and cluster J, And we train the model with the cluster J and access the evaluation loss with respect to the cluster J. And we also access the cluster J's evaluation loss using the model trained on the data set consists of the cluster I and cluster J. And so if this difference is positive, this means that the cluster J actually helps in learning the concept and skills of the cluster J. So it gives a positive impact if if we train the model jointly using the cluster I and cluster J. Uh, Meanwhile, we also measure the cluster cosine similarity using the centroid of the cluster I and the cluster J. So we empirically find that if there is the high correlation between the cosine similarity and transferability, as we've shown in these two uh, results using the LAVA 1.5 and Vision Flang visual instruction training dataset. So we use the similarity as an efficient proxy for the transferability calculation, as assessing all the transferability of each cluster is really costly. So using these transferability, we enhance the training efficacy by selecting more data from more transferable and lower density clusters. We also ensure high diversity by selecting a few samples from other clusters. During experiments, we use two datasets, which are LAVA 1.5 dataset and the Vision Flang dataset, which shows different data distributions. For data selection and training, we use the tiny 2 billion model as a small reference model for the data selection, and the LAVA 1.5 model with 7 billion or 13 billion parameters as a target large visual language model that are trained with the core sets. So here's the result. As you can see, our method surpasses other baselines in a lot of benchmarks, achieving the highest average relative performance. So this experiment is done with the 7 billion model using 20% of the core set, 20% of the whole data set. We also estimate the performance using the 13 billion model fine-tuning. And the results shows that our method still achieves the highest average performance compared to the baselines. We also conduct experiments using various sampling ratios, and as you can see on the black line, our method outperforms the baselines in various sampling ratios, and we also access the time cost efficiency. What we mean by time cost is the time required to train the model using the core set and the time to extract the core set using the method. So our method achieves high efficiency compared to the baselines, and when we think about the time for the full fine-tuning, which cost 50 hours in our experiment setting, our method uses only 70% of the total training cost to achieve the comparable performance compared to the full fine-tuning. We conduct similar experiments using the Vision Flang dataset, and using only 16.7% of the total dataset, our method outperforms the full fine-tuning, and our method also outperforms the baselines in various sampling ratios.